Hi, my name is Jo and welcome to my YouTube channel. In today's video I'm going to be discussing all things head chop. So this is how you produce pups on the stem of a succulent by chopping off the head. This is also really helpful if your succulent has become elongated and has been reaching for sunlight and there's quite a long stem. They can then flop over and become a little bit unsturdy. So this is how you can rectify that. Or if you just want to do it to produce some more pups, to obviously duplicate your succulents, then this is a great way of doing so. The best time to head chop succulents is really at the start of the growing season, and also once they've just been watered. I would say within the last couple of days, just so they're nice and firm and they've plumped up. That makes sure they've got enough energy to produce pups. I always propagate my succulents, especially my 50 top favourites every year, just to make sure that if anything happened to the original plant, I've got duplicates of that plant as a backup. Obviously you can swap with others if you have too many, which is great, but it just makes sure you've got that kind of insurance policy of your favourite succulent, because it is a little bit devastating when they do die. I would probably start on something that isn't your favourite in your collection if you've never head chopped before, and do something that's a bit more common, and just so it's less risky, because it does scare me doing it. I feel really vicious getting a knife and just chopping into the plant, but it is worth it in the long run. But yeah, maybe just if this is your first time, just try something a little bit more common, inexpensive, just so you can kind of get the knack of what you're doing and see some good progress on something that's not quite as risky. Saying that, I've only ever had two which have not produced pups, and obviously you have the head which reroots and lives on, so it's not that risky. But obviously when you're kind of chopping into your favourite plant, it just scares me. I did one this year, which is my variegated Lysina, and I was terrified, but so far I've got two new pups on the stem and the head has rerooted. So yes, I was very scared about that one, but so far it's been successful. So this succulent, as you can see, has a really long stem, and this bit is getting quite woody, and this is all fresh stem here. So what we can do is chop it up here, and what that will do is generate some new pups on the stem, usually from these points of where the leaves come from. You should ideally get a pup from every single one. So for the plant to have the best chance of producing pups, it will need to be watered quite recently. This one was the last couple of days, and the leaves are all quite firm. So we've got a thin leaf plant, but they're firm for this plant anyway. So that just means it's got a lot of energy, and it's got basically the energy to produce more pups. What I would always suggest is keeping some leaves on the plant when you head chop. This makes sure the plant can still receive energy from the sun, and then obviously use the energy to produce the pups. So let's get chopping. Always sterilize your knife. So this can be done just with an alcohol spray, just to make sure there's no pests and anything on there from previous chops. And then what we need to do is find a bit of the stem which is going to have some healthy leaves on it still. So I'm tempted to go just above this leaf here, and basically, obviously mind your fingers, just chop. Some of the stems will be really woody and hard, but that one was really straightforward to do. So as you can see, I've kept a few leaves, these ones which are nice and healthy. These ones are nearly finished anyway, and then on the bottom we've got the nice fresh stem. So this one will callus over in a few days, so that will go nice and hard, and once that's done that, you can then just pop it either in a tray. It doesn't need to have any soil. I normally leave mine just in a tray to make sure they're callusing okay and not getting anything stuck to the bottom of there. And once they've produced roots, you can then put them in some soil, but this can take weeks to months to do. It just depends on the plant really. So yeah, just kind of pop that aside, make sure it's getting some good sunlight so it's still getting the energy. Just keep an eye on mealies as well. Mealies love a head chop plant, and that's because obviously it's now weakened. We've taken away all of its source of energy, so it's now quite a weak plant. So just keep an eye on mealies, and if you see any, just give them a spray with that alcohol. Also, just to note, always remember to put the ID of the plant in the pot and on the head, because they can look quite different after a head chop. So yeah, if you want to keep an eye on what is what, obviously the leaves on this will eventually die off, so you'll be left with just a stem, so you'll probably have no idea what it is. So yeah, make sure you always label your head chops. So it's exactly 4 weeks later, and we have a little update. So this is the head that we chopped. I've got some lovely fresh roots growing from 4 different places actually, and these are nice and thick and healthy. Look how pink they are. So yeah, this is really good for 4 weeks. I find sometimes you check them and there's nothing, and then a couple of days later there's loads. So yeah, they do it really quickly when they want to, when they're ready. Obviously the top looks absolutely perfect. So I'll probably leave that just to let the roots grow a little bit more, and then I'll pot them up in some dry soil. And yeah, I won't water them until the roots completely fill the pot really, just to make sure they are fully rooted and ready to go. But yeah, it's doing really well. And this is the stem. So some of the leaves that were kind of dying off have now died off completely, so they've used any energy from those leaves, so I'll just get rid of those. Just make sure they don't knock any pups as we do so, because we have some new pups. So there is one there and one on the opposite side. Sometimes you get them from the top as well. It looks like one is starting to grow just in there. Yeah, so sometimes you'll get them around these parts, but you should probably get quite a few more from each little node here. So yeah, we'll keep an eye. But so far for 28 days, it's brilliant. And this is like the end of the growing season at the minute. We're having a gorgeous day right now in October, but usually it is pretty rubbish. So yeah, this is such a good update. So I'm really pleased, and yeah, I'll do another update maybe in a couple of weeks just to see how much they've grown. Just to note as well, I would just check to see if the stem is thirsty, and I'll do that by just testing the leaves. So these ones are quite firm still at the minute, so if they do get squidgy, you can water them, because obviously they need that energy for growing the pups and doing their thing. So yeah, always keep an eye, make sure you are watering the stems as well. So it's now been another couple of weeks later, and this is the head and these are the roots. So as you can see, they're growing really nicely at a really good length now. So it's time to pot this up. I'll give it some soil and yeah, let it reroot into some fresh soil in a nice pot. And this is the update on the stem and the little baby. So we've still got the two at the side, not too much growth, and one starting to grow here. The leaves are now really soft, so it will need some water. It's just a funny time of year at the minute because it's getting quite cold, but we do have some really sunny days, and it makes it, obviously the greenhouse is really hot, so it's kind of that time you're like, oh, do I water, do I not? But yeah, I'm going to give this one a water, and hopefully the pups will grow a bit quicker. So let's give it a little bit of water. That'll give it some energy, hopefully get it growing again, and let's pot up this head. So because this succulent is obviously doesn't have a lot of roots, I'm just going to use a small pot. It's probably like, I wouldn't normally choose a pot size this small for this size succulent, but because the roots are so small, it doesn't need a big pot. So I'm just going to use a really gritty mix, so 50-50 soil to some grit, and then just pop that in so the roots are starting to touch the soil, and give it some fresh soil. And with anything like this, I wouldn't water until the roots are basically reaching the bottom of the pot. It needs longer to grow before you water it. It just can cause rot if you water it too early. So that's what we're going to do. We're just going to leave it here, and hopefully it's now going to root even more into the soil, get some nutrients, and be nice and happy. So yeah, once it's rooted a lot more, and maybe if I give this a tug and it stays in there, then that's when it's ready for some water. So yeah, that is the head potted on. So obviously that lives on, and now hopefully we've got probably 3 more growing on here. So yeah, that's how I head chop my plants and duplicate them, and obviously just keep adding to my collection, adding an insurance policy most of the time. So yeah, that's it. So I hope that helps answer any questions you had on head chopping succulents. If you've got any more questions, please ask away in the comments. If you found this video helpful, please give it a like. I have videos going live every week with different care tips for succulents, so look back on my previous videos and also subscribe for any future ones. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you next time.